Yeah, so Honda had an embargo on the refresh 2024 Passport. Not entirely sure why, but that's why it was a separate video compared to my walk around. So if you want to see the exterior changes of the refresh Passport, I really can't tell them unless I have them side by side between pre-refresh and post-refresh. It looks pretty much identical to me, which is a good thing. I think the Passport looks fine the way it was, and they didn't need to do a whole lot. I wish the high beams would have been LED, but at least the base model, the EXL, gets LED, low lights. So let's move on. So what is it like to drive this Passport? Well, it's easy. It is a double dose of vanilla, but everything in here, there's nothing. Okay, I don't want anything to annoy me in a car, and Honda has done that. I guess, okay, there's one thing that annoys me in here out of all the things. It is the lack of a seeking button like we have on the Civic and so many other products, the CR-V. There's no button on here for me to go to like the next channel, the next preset. So that's a little bit annoying. Outside of that, in terms of how the car drives though, there's nothing weird going on. The 9-speed is serviceable. It's kind of slow, but it's smooth and it gets the job done. The V6, pedal down, sounds awesome. And most of the time I never needed to get past like 4,000 RPM just keeping up with traffic. That was the first time I put the pedal down and did exactly what I expected it to. The transmission's quick enough to downshift to get me around and past cars. Safety features in here. The lane keep assist or the lane departure alert was acting a little funny this morning. The streets were wet and it was like shaking the steering wheel, thinking I was like leaving the lane, but I wasn't. The blind spot monitor indicator is actually located on the inside, on the A-pillar here, which I prefer to be actually on the mirror because that's where I'm looking. I'm not looking, you know, I guess my peripherals will show it, but also if it's on the outside of the mirror, people can see that you can see that you're in their blind spot with the indicator on. So hopefully that made sense. Now, in terms of technology in here, this screen is tiny. It's functional, it's a little glossy, but I wish I had a 10-inch or 12-inch screen instead of this small 7 or 8-inch screen. The MID behind the steering wheel is extremely basic. It is fully digital besides the fuel gauge and the temperature gauge, but it gives me all the important information like revs. You have your tachometer, you have your radar cruise control information that pops up there. You also have your trip information. Speaking of trip, putting nearly 100 miles on it, I'm getting 20 miles per gallon, and that's mostly in town. That doesn't really come as a surprise with this V6. All right, climate control is perfectly fine. I feel like the AC is colder in here than it was in the Pilot I tested, but the thing is, I was testing the Pilot in the heat of the summer, and I'm not testing the Passport in the heat of the summer. It's only, it's 73 degrees outside, so it's not having to work too hard to cool this thing off. In terms of space and visibility, the visibility in here is A+. The windows, the back door windows are enormous, so there's like no blind spots going on. I have great visibility. I sit up really high, so I'm in the TrailSport, and let's talk about what the TrailSport offers. Well, besides the badges on the outside and like the the all-terrain tires, what does it do for us on the inside? Well, ride quality in here is actually really good, and I feel like I'm sitting up really high, even though the ground clearance is still around 8 inches, even across the board. It doesn't get greater ground clearance here for this particular model. So that doesn't really change anything, but what these all-terrain tires do change is ride quality, as well as the upgraded suspension. The upgraded suspension here does a really good job at smoothing everything out. And if you have a lot of speed bumps in your life, if you're doing a lot of car pickups or children pickup at school, there's speed bumps there. If you're doing a lot of neighborhood stuff where you have a lot of speed bumps, this thing devours speed bumps very, very well. The suspension handles it beautifully. In terms of handling, I'll get over to the next lane here. Even though this it feels like a huge vehicle, and it is. It's Pilot without a third row in a lot of ways. It handles really well. And these all-terrain tires, I actually feel like I have a better feeling of what's going on. I think it's because I can feel and hear them more than standard tires when I'm in the turns. The tires though, once I get up to speed, they do have noticeable road noise, and that's not something you're gonna have from the standard tires on the EXL or the Black Edition. Let's just gun it. No, it did not like that. If you want a hard launch from a stop, you're gonna have to brake torque this thing, because it kind of just stumbled out of the blocks there. But that doesn't bother me. That's not what I'm expecting in like a family rugged-ish hauler. I need it to be dependable and not annoy me, and it does both of those things. I'm assuming it's going to do the dependable, and it's a Honda and it's a V6. There's not a whole lot to go wrong here. The 9-speed auto is pretty proven for my understanding at this point. So throwing it in the turn, I love how this thing handles. And then you got the low growl of a V6 to power you out of the turn. So yeah, it's super smooth. It's very comfortable. I have great visibility. It's just like everything in this vehicle is about vanilla. Even the styling's very soft, and you know, I think the new CR-V is a bit edgier and more boxy and a little bit more current with its design compared to this refreshed Passport. But oh, the brakes. I haven't talked about the brakes. Brakes are fantastic in here. Honda typically doesn't disappoint with the brake feel, and I'm happy to report that the brakes here feel excellent, very linear, and nothing weird going on. It's very predictable in its braking progress. So it's actually the lowest selling Honda in America. I couldn't believe that, but actually the Ridgeline sells better. The pickup truck, it sells better than this. The Pilot sells way better. The Odyssey sells noticeably better too. And of course the Civic, Honda Accord, as the CR-V and the Pilot, they all sell in huge numbers. This thing is on the not the low hanging fruit, it's like the high hanging fruit. You don't see very many Passports on the road, and if you do, you're probably going to mistake it for a Pilot or even a Ridgeline if you just see it from the front. So it's kind of just an average looking car out on the roads, and it's a great driving vehicle. It's smooth, it's comfortable, it's not the most tech heavy. The safety features I feel aren't as good as some of the newer Honda models, like what you see on the new CR-V and the new Pilot, for example. But the TrailSport's cool. Would I would be getting the TrailSport if I was getting a Passport? Absolutely not. I would save $2,000 to get the base EXL, so I don't have the road noise or the tire noise coming in at over about 35 miles an hour. And I still get leather seats, and I believe heated seats and a sunroof on the base EXL. So I'll just be getting the EXL, and I don't need to spend an extra $8 grand more than the EXL or so, 7 or 8 grand for the Black Edition, which doesn't really, I guess it has a better sound system than this. And I like this sound system. Just turn down the bass, the factory setting. Just turn down the bass a little bit, turn up the treble a little bit, and I'm really happy with it. It's not the loudest, but it sounds good once you don't over bass the system. So anyways, I'm gonna end it there with the Passport. It's a very good vehicle. If you guys just want, you know, a point A to point B SUV that can do some off-roading. I didn't even talk about the IVTM4, the all-wheel drive system. It's fantastic. The super handling all-wheel drive is great. Most of us are gonna be using it to get around on basic traffic or the streets instead of using it off-road, which will do off-road perfectly well. Watch my driving impressions when I was in Omaha using super handling all-wheel drive, the same technology as this, in snowy conditions and hills. I don't have snow or hills here in Florida, so, and I'm not going to take this TrailSport off-road, because to me, I see it as a rugged family hauler for the streets. But I'll see you guys in the bottom comment section. Hit the like button if you made it this far. It's a very good vehicle. It's not going to impress you in any way other than it's just really refined, it's smooth, and it feels very high quality in here, almost luxury grade, just minus the technology that we see in a lot of luxury vehicles. But I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, and signing out from the refresh 2024 Honda Passport.